started. In the last half an hour, Wes Streeting denied claims that he's plotting to oust Sir Keir Starmer after suggestions from the Prime Minister's allies.
Most unwarranted attack on a faithful since Joe Marler was banished in the Traitors final. And I think whoever's been briefing this should spend a little less time watching Celebrity Traitors and a bit more time watching Country File.
But with the Prime Minister's popularity now at an all-time low and both a disastrous budget incoming and local election drubbings looming, is Sir Keir Starmer finished? Well, let's bring in GB News political editor Chris Hope, GB News' senior political commentator Nigel Nelson, and I'm delighted to be joined in the studio by a brightly coloured resplendent Conservative MP for Fareham and Waterlooville, Suella Braverman. Welcome to you all. Chris, let's start with you. Wes Streeting there saying this is the work of traitors, but he was saying he's been kneecapped. He's being attacked, plotted against by who? Machiavellian figures in the background at number 10. Here's the point. When Labour came in, they said 14 years of chaos, that's all over. The adults are back in charge. It's been one consistent nightmare for the Labour Party ever since they got in power. There hasn't been a quiet news day. Here we go again. I put it to you. It's the Labour Party that's lost control.
Well, they've certainly lost control of the polls. They're half what they were in July last year. This is a symptom. The concern about his leadership, Prime Minister Keir Starmer, is because he's not moving forward in the polls. That is a problem. I was talking to some people allied to the so-called plotters earlier today. They were saying heads must roll. They blame people like Morgan McSweeney, the chief of staff person. Often you go after advisors in politics because you can't stomach having to go at the main person. So he's the chief of staff. That's why Kemi Badenoch in the House of Commons attacked him. And that's why rivals are doing the same. The PMQs was interesting. I think Lincoln Jopp, your colleague on the backbenches, of course, Suella Braverman, he's a Tory MP, talked about his time serving, experience with Africa and overthrows of government. And he said this: any advice on a coup to the Prime Minister, ask me, which set the tone for the entire session. But Kemi Badenoch there, talking about this toxic culture, has the PM got confidence in Morgan McSweeney? He eventually said yes, we think said yes, and was told he had said yes by his advisors afterwards. And, you know, civil war in the chamber in number 10. And that's why Kemi Badenoch pushed so hard. Any attack, the Prime Minister said, on any member of the Cabinet is unacceptable. But here's how he responded. And clearly the idea had been, behind those who were briefing out the attack on Wes Streeting, was make him defend the Prime Minister and then have a strong showing in PMQs. Well, here's what he said, and see what you think at home.
I've never authorised attacks on Cabinet members. I appointed them to their posts because they're the best people to carry out their jobs. Mr. Speaker, she asks about waiting lists. Waiting lists are down under this government. The number of GPs is up. And because we've scrapped NHS England, we're investing on the front line. That's what the Health Secretary is doing today, getting on with his job, and he's doing a very good job too.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.co.uk www.facebook.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
So Keir Starmer there, pushing back very hard, but all we're doing now is talking about Wes Streeting and his EPM material. If this was an attempt to kneecap him, it hasn't worked.
Suella Braverman, let's bring you in at this point. A lot of use of the word traitors from Wes Streeting. Is Wes Streeting the real traitor here?
I think he's the Alan Carr of this series of the traitors. Babyface, butter wouldn't melt, everyone loves him, but underneath the exterior, he is the traitor. And I do actually think that Wes is on manoeuvres. He is trying to deny a plot, and this is all really more of the shambles. I've got to say, I didn't think I see this so soon, but the Labour crisis right now is making the Tory psychodramas of previous years look veritably dull.
But Suella Braverman, I would say, though, to you were part of those psychodramas. We were talking about you as a leadership material. You declared you're standing on the Peston programme. Do you ever feel unfairly traduced, that people were often, the people who were trying to support the Prime Minister at the time, were pinning things on you that weren't your fault?
This is why I do have some sympathy with Wes, because there is sometimes, and I have been on the receiving end of hostile briefings from a hostile number 10. It is not very nice, and when you are innocent and you're not plotting and you're not trying to overthrow the Prime Minister, you do feel wrongly put upon. But I do think that things are going really badly for the Prime Minister. As you said, the polls are abysmal. They're only going to continue getting worse with a break of a promise and a rise of income tax and a failure to stop illegal migration and continual woes for this government. Keir Starmer can't recover from this crisis, and it is now a question of when, not if, he goes, I think.
In terms of the big landmarks coming up, clearly the budget is looming. It's like 2 weeks away today. Everybody is bracing themselves for impact. The high street has simply gone into reverse. People are terrified to spend money. A key pledge not to increase taxes looks certain to be broken now. The opinion polls are already bad. After that, they'll be off a cliff. And then we've got May coming down the line, the local elections. With all of this in mind, is there any way you think that Keir Starmer can survive beyond May?
I would be very surprised if he is leading the Labour Party into the next general election at this state, because, as you say, you set out the catalogue of failings in such a short space of time, and what's worth, with a massive majority. Hundreds of Labour MPs who've started off loyal and obedient are now in open rebellion against this Labour Prime Minister. And there's no sign of fixing the big systemic problems that Keir Starmer is dealing with, whether it's the breach of the big promise on income tax. Governments never recover when they break a solemn promise like that. And I can't see Keir Starmer recovering from a break of that promise.
Nigel Nelson, who'd have thought, certainly not you, after 14 years of so-called Tory chaos, after 16 months, it's just been utterly relentless, from the free gear Keir scandal, the winter fuel allowance scandal, the farmers. It's literally been endless. So Keir Starmer today looks utterly bewildered. Rachel Reeves looked close to tears again. Well, falling apart at the seams.
I think that the briefing that was put out last night by number 10 or someone very close to number 10 was absolutely mad, completely bonkers. It was appalling political judgment. What they were obviously trying to do was to smoke out rivals, and what they did was set the house on fire. And now the only reason we're talking about this now is because of what happened last night. So actually, if you go back another day, we're in no different situation with Keir Starmer than we were a couple of days ago. Briefings like this have certainly dominated the news agenda. That doesn't mean he's about to be toppled.
But it looks like clown world. To an outsider,
it does look like it is like a circus. It is clown world. The judgment of the briefer last night, and it was a coordinated briefing. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't after a few pints in the Red Lion next to the House of Commons. This was actually coordinated. You can see by the reports they talk about allies of the PM.
They actually planned to shoot
This was planned. This was planned.
Well, if you look at it, it was Bloomberg, The Guardian, The Times, the BBC's It was definitely an operation.
And they used the same words. That obviously there were conditions for the briefing. Describe whoever the briefer was as an ally, that kind of thing. So this was coordinated. And when you see that kind of thing going on, it just shows that the people around Keir Starmer do not understand politics.
Astonishing. It really, really is.